So nice to meet you.
Hey, nice to meet you.
So my name is Matia, and I am with AJ3 Report. So we want to thank you, Mr. Lamarr, for sitting down and taking some time to chat with us.
See me all right? Everything good? Everything's
You
everything
know,
good?
in a world full of a lot of things, I'm here, 10 toes down, feeling good, feeling great, healthy. So I can't really complain.
Where what part of the world are you in?
I actually reside in Sanford, Florida.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. Oh, I know they say Florida spiking, but is your area spiking?
We are seeing increases. Yes, we are in my county. We are seeing increases. So as they increase outside, I'm increasing my time inside. Yeah.
Got you, got you. It's interesting times we live in. I don't know if you want to save some of that for the interview, but
Yeah. So we can go ahead and hop into that. Of course, we're all dealing with this pandemic, something none of us has ever seen before, and because none of us has ever seen this before, we don't know how to, mitigate things that we had planned for our lives, and things of that sort. So, how has the pandemic affected you and your art and things that you have going?
you know, um, I was always raised, and I kind of studied the business practices of you want to work for the year ahead. So you
Mm,
should be working on. So right now we're working on actually working on 2022 right now.
okay.
So when the pandemic hit, we had already finished 2020 stuff.
Okay.
So it's a blessing, right? My business partner, Bishop Eric Garnes, and who's the CEO of Red Gorilla, we always just are always striving to work for the rainy day.
Mm-hmm.
Now we're gonna say, hey, right, you better save, save it for the pandemic days, but
Right.
we never really missed a step, and thank God for that.
Yeah.
It didn't used to be like that. You know what I mean? I mean, my mentality was different, and so I wouldn't say that on a business end
Mhm.
it affected us too much. Praise God. Um, but I definitely on a social end.
Right.
I haven't been able to see my loved ones, since March.
Wow.
And so it definitely has affected me on a personal level.
Mm-hmm.
Just not being able to, like my mom lives in California, my sister's in California. My dad is here, but he's a little bit of, above. I ain't gonna put his age out there, but just been just being obedient,
Right.
and practicing social distancing.
Yeah.
And when you're being obedient and practicing social distancing, I can go give my dad a hug.
Right. Right.
You know what I mean? And so so it's affected me in that area, but it's brought us closer because Zoom in and
Yes.
talk more with people, and so and then just if you are a creator,
Mhm.
I I hope this comes off the right way. If you're a creator, this should have motivated you to think outside the box.
Mhm.
People are, oh, think outside the box, think outside the box. We are outside the box now because
Absolutely.
realize anything.
Right.
Like I'm used to being living in the air.
Hmm.
I'm literally used to, oh, you got a meeting in LA tomorrow. Okay, cool. I'll catch the red eye out of Midway and I'll be there in the morning. How long I got to stay there? All right, I'm not gonna come back. I'll stay for a day. Maybe go to this hotel. And then we're gonna go to New York. You know what I mean? And have a meeting.
Right.
You can't move like that. At least I'm not
Right.
moving like that right now.
Yeah.
And so you have to think outside the box and say, okay, how do I stay active
Yeah.
in a COVID world?
Right.
Because
So let
we
me.
already know, I was gonna say, because we already know how to stay active in a racist world.
Whoo. Mouthful.
We've already been living there.
Right. Mouthful there. So let me ask you. So when you talk about, not being able to see your loved ones, and like you were saying, even with, going to see your dad, the traveling, a lot of times those are the things that kind of help us to hit the restart button or refresh and kind of recharge you, give you, different what's the word I'm looking for? Not necessarily motivations, but just, different things to think about. And so when you're in these spaces, not that you can't think, but maybe that inspiration, so to speak, isn't there just from the daily walks of life. So as a creative, how has that affected you and the ability to create?
I had to tap in
Mm-hmm.
a bit more, and realize that just me personally, my creative mindset is a gift. you know, and it was a blessing. So I can utilize all situations, unless, all things work together, according to his purpose, so it's like, I've just utilized everything that's going on, but I've never really been an on the nose person. So it's
Right.
not like, oh, pandemic, so I'm gonna write about a story about a dude trapped in his high rise during the pandemic. I'm
Right.
never on the nose like that. I'm thinking of other stories, and I was able to, me and my writing team, shout out to John Knitter and Adam Key, but we were able to start to develop stories that were outside of what's going on, because you know, God willing, this will end. We will figure out a way to cohabitate with everything that's going on,
Right.
and people aren't gonna, like, you see it on the news, you're talking about it. People gonna want to escape.
Exactly.
I don't want to go sit in the movie theater once the theater's open for 2 hours and watch a pandemic movie.
Right.
CNN, they already writing that script every day.
Exactly.
So,
Exactly.
so I've been able to think about things that, again, creating outside of the box,
Hmm.
like love stories, like
Yeah.
things that make you feel good, because the world's gonna need a hug
Yeah.
when we get back to some type of something. Because I don't want to say the word normal, because I don't think we're ever going to be back to normal.
Whatever the next phase of normal, the new normal is gonna
Yeah,
be.
you think about 9/11 when that happened,
Yeah.
and before 9/11, when we went to the airport, things
Right.
were, security was different, and
Right.
so things will never go back to how they were before 9/11.
Hmm.
I have many friends overseas, some in China who they have pneumonia season. They've been living with masks their whole life.
Wow.
It's something normal for them, and
Right.
they learn how to get back. You
Right.
know, so I think you have to stay creative by thinking outside the box and using what you have inside of you. What's in your backyard? Literally nowadays, what's really in your backyard?
Yeah.
You know.
As a person who is a creative, I mean, you are a writer, you're a director, you are a Christian, artist. First off, it takes a lifetime for some people just to get into one of those arenas, and you've managed to get in and impart your influence in multiple arenas. What Tell me a little bit more about your journey, because that takes a pretty dedicated and motivated individual to be able to come into multiple arenas like that.
It took me my whole life,
Hmm.
to get to this place. I started in music, but when I say I started, I'm talking about, like, I started music back in fourth grade, you know.
Okay.
And I love music. I've always been a fan of it. My dad was a DJ. And by DJ I mean he had hundreds of records, and he would play them on his record player.
Okay.
So, and so I used to get lost in the records. I used to get lost in what my mom and my dad like listen to. So Prince, Luther Vandross, George
Mm,
Clinton, P Funk, like all those people. I just know about them because my dad and my mom listened to them,
right.
and so I just fell in love with music. And then I didn't really fall into hip hop until fourth grade. Fourth grade, there was an album, Creeping on the Come Up, Bone Thugs and Harmony.
Ah,
I got that cassette tape, and that cassette tape changed my life. Right?
right.
And I'm so glad that I was introduced to Bone first, because they're so melodic. And so
Right.
I already like melodies from, like, Michael Jackson. If you ever listen to Michael Jackson and you listen to how he records and how he breaks down, he's a lot. I mean, man. Anyway,
Right.
that's all.
You're going all day, right?
Quincy Jones,
Mm.
what Diddy was doing, Puff Daddy with Love, whatever his name is right now, what he was doing in the '90s, what him and Andrea Herrera were doing in the '90s over at Uptown,
Mhm.
and taking all those different voices and people and putting together. Like, I love that.
Yes.
And I would get lost in the music videos.
Mm.
And I realized that they were creating experiences and moments. Like, if I say Missy Elliott,
Oh,
be a video in your head.
right. Absolutely.
I say Michael Jackson with, Smooth Criminal, Bad, like, you can just keep going. Dirty Diana, like, we can just keep
Yes.
going. Those are moments in your brain
Yes.
that they were creating. And I was like, I want to make music, but I want to create moments. So I started making music videos.
Mm.
And then I started to, like, my music videos suck. And I was like, I got to get better.
Mm-hmm.
So then I started studying the directors and the cinematographers, people like P.T. Anderson and, rest in peace to John Singleton and Robert Rodriguez and these directors that just like literally by the bootstrap, just by any means, just created stuff with what they had in their backyard. And so I just started to hone my skills as a filmmaker because music, I'm a curator. So music to me has always been about curation. And that's been a gift. I'm a talented filmmaker, but I was gifted in music, So, and those are two different things to me.
Mm-hmm.
So I had to learn, I had to hone my talents and go out to LA and bump my head a million times.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't until I messed up, like picked the wrong circle, put the wrong people in my life, made the wrong decisions, till I was literally homeless, on the street of Van Nuys for almost 2 years.
Wow.
And in that time, when you hit rock bottom, below rock bottom, you really have a lot of time with yourself and a lot of time with God.
Mm-hmm.
Everything stripped away.
Yeah.
Everything.
Right.
And after those couple seasons, I started to, because the gifts and the talents weren't gone.
Right.
But everything that I had just put myself into was.
Mm-hmm.
And I just started building myself up brick by brick, and then I started, I was able to do my first film, Restored Me, actually the Dirty 30 first film, sorry. Shout out to Nafisa Williams. You can see her on Black Lightning now, but, me and Nafisa, Sean Riggs and Giovanni Watson, we did that. Mm-hmm. The next movie was Restored Me, and the cast got a little bigger, and the project got a little bigger, and that featured Malik Yoba, Gary Owen, Nafisa Williams again, Bill Duke, Yancy Arias. We just had some great people there.
Absolutely.
And then we were able to do Canal Street, right? And that's when the Lord started speaking back into me. It's time to start getting back into your music.
Mm.
Because you have something to talk. I've never really had anything to talk about.
Right.
I just knew what sounded good, and I could make good songs, but I had nothing to talk about.
So for you, with your music, when you say you didn't have anything to talk about, and like you said, you were basically stripped of everything and you had to, God was all you had. So with your music, what is it that you hope to do? Do you hope to, it doesn't sound like you just want to just simply entertain. It sounds like you come with a message. So what is your intent with your music?
We never want to entertain, we want to educate.
Right.
Educate and wake up people.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you don't see what's going around right now, you sleep.
Right.
And sometimes you need trumpets.
Mm-hmm.
To sound out the warning. And sometimes those trumpets need to come in the mindset of, I'm going to use me, right? My mess. Mm-hmm. That's why the album is called A Perfect Mess. My life has been a perfect mess. And look what God was able to do for me.
Right.
Because I was out there.
Mm-hmm. Right.
I was way out there, right. And the Lord's still working on me. It's like He's working on everybody.
Exactly.
But our music is to educate. Okay. Our films are to educate and bring awareness. Anybody can stand on the stage and scream and it sound good, but do something with your voice.
Absolutely. So I think I heard you basically kind of say, when I heard you talking about Midway Airport, so you're from Chicago? Mm-hmm. All right. And so let me ask you, how has that upbringing, being from Chicago, rich in history and culture, how has that impacted you as an individual and also as a creator?
Well, I have to say, first of all, shout out to my father for staying in my life, mm-hmm. and my sister's life.
Yeah.
And for my parents, it didn't work on a relationship side, but we never felt the impact of that from parenting side.
Gotcha.
So they were really instrumental in showing us both sides of the track, mm-hmm. Showing us, look, you know why this train is called the Red Line? It's because it goes to where the Red Line areas are on the south side of Chicago. It's right there in front of your face. Right. Educating us on, all right, cool, you're going to do, go to school, mm-hmm. learn what they're trying to tell you to do, and then we're going to talk about your history.
Yes.
So, and that was a little bit more my dad than my mom, but mm-hmm. my dad really taught me at a young age the importance of our culture, of our history, um, family values. Growing up in Chicago, I was around a lot of the wrong people and a lot of the right people.
Right.
So, and I don't regret any of it. I don't regret getting in trouble because it made me who I am today.
Absolutely.
And I love the city of Chicago. I moved to LA in '05, but I was blessed to be able to come back in 2016 and just stay, and I love this city,
Yeah.
For all its bad and ugly and beautiful and everything. I love the city.
Right.
And other than when it's a pandemic, Chicago is the best city to be in the summertime.
Right.
Every city in America, like Chicago, hands down. I know people watching this gonna be like, yeah, okay, whatever, But I'm saying Chicago is a beautiful city. I don't know about the winter time, but
Right. Well, you know what? You get full agreement from me because actually just 2 years ago, my son, who's at the end of July, he'll be 11, but he's an avid sports fan and he actually loves history like I do. And so I was, thinking, what can I do for his birthday? He didn't really want to party. And I thought, you know what? Let's take a trip. So since he likes sports, you guys have every kind of sports team there is. So I figured, I can take him to so he can see like the Michael Jordan statue. We can go see, Ernie Davis. And then we have the Disabled Museum of African American History. So I absolutely love Chicago. I've been there about 3 times, I think. Love going out to the Navy Pier. It's an awesome, awesome place. I love it.
Yeah. It is. I mean, I'd rather come to Florida during the wintertime, but
Right. Yeah. We're good for that time of the year. You don't have to worry about all the cold, right? So let's talk a little bit more about your album here. Well, why don't you tell us about it? Well, you talked about the title kind of about you being a perfect mess, but what are the messages that you're conveying and kind of what was the creative process as you were going into this particular album?
Again, A Perfect Mess is about God's perfection in the mess of the world.
Mm-hmm.
He still finds a way to make it perfect.
Yes.
The body of Christ is a perfect mess.
Yes.
And then on a musical side, it's a hodgepodge, a motley crew of different musicians. It's hip hop, it's gospel, it's pop, it's Latin, it's jazz, it's funk, and it's all kind of thrown in together on this album. And it should be a mess, but it just came together perfectly. My team, Ma G, amazing producer, Jack Red, amazing vocalist and producer, and we just really meshed well. And this project was like the beginning of a lot of things that we're working on the music side.
Yeah.
It's doing really well. We debuted at number 6 on the charts.
That's awesome.
In the middle of COVID.
Yeah.
But dropping nowhere to promote it. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
So like really, really proud of what God allowed us to be able to do with that album. And it just came together. I've been working on it since Canal Street. I was just writing it. You can catch it streaming right now on all streaming platforms. If you love it, download it because that helps us even more.
I'm glad you said that. Okay.
Apple, Tidal, Spotify, Pandora, Google, iTunes. You can find it everywhere.
Okay.
The music videos that we dropped and are dropping. You can look us up on YouTube. Just search my name, Rhyan Lamarr.
Okay.
And that's the music side.
Yeah, and I have to tell you too, listening to a few songs off the album, what I really like about it is, I think sometimes people feel like gospel music has to sound a particular way, and it can't sound like the opposite side. You know what I mean? And so what I love is I can still, you can still bounce and bop your head, but you still getting the message, about the love and compassion of Jesus Christ. So, I mean, I absolutely love the direction you've gone in with your music. Because like I said, you hear a lot of times some of the old heads just really want you to be confined in a particular space. And how has that been for you in making the type of music that you make in the gospel arena?
I'm just led by God.
Yeah.
I really don't listen to the rules unless God telling me to be obedient to him. Not out there not listening to people, but like everybody's lane is different. You know, just like every song on the album is different. Some is 7 minutes long, some is 3 minutes long.
Yeah.
We just wrote until it felt right. You know, and why can't I have, you know, a rapper from, you know, Chicago with a gospel artist,
That's
you
right.
know, like Shirley Murdoch, you know,
Yeah.
with a quote unquote Instagram star like Daystar Power, who's an amazing activist, on the
Right.
same song,
Right.
you know, praising God. Why
Right.
can't it?
Why not? Yeah.
Yeah.
So
So,
let me
you know,
ask you, we talk about kind of like you just kind of touched on activism. So, I mean, it's inescapable. It's just as much as we turn on the TV or open up your phone and you see anything about the pandemic, you're going to see something about racial and social injustices currently going on. Like you said, it's nothing new for us.
yeah.
The only new element per se is things are being filmed, more often. But um, how is it as a Black man, as a man of faith in a world where people who look like you are still dealing with things that have been centuries long?
You know, somebody else asked me this. It's life,
Yeah.
unfortunately.
Hmm.
You know, so we were talking, we mentioned in the beginning, you know, we already know how to deal
Yeah.
and live in a racist world.
Right.
Unfortunately, I'm not saying it's right. I'm not saying that we don't have PTSD from it. I'm not saying
Right.
that we conditioned to just rise. We're an amazing people,
Hmm.
you know, where we can, like, you know, despite seeing us murdered on TV,
Yeah.
we still are getting on a Zoom, talking about other things, and you know, because it's been life.
Right.
You know, you were affected by George Floyd and Breonna Taylor, you
Hmm.
know, and Ahmaud Arbery and Sean Bell, you know what I mean, and Eric Garner. I like we could just go on and on and on. But I was affected by Terrence Palmer and Little Mike, people you'd never hear of. Those were my cousins. You know what I mean? That were taken, they were murdered. You know, and you know, so it's like everybody, you know, these cell phones is what you're seeing, but we've been seeing this our entire lives.
Right.
So you know, when I was working on music and my album and, you know, and the film and everything like that, we're working on it in the midst of a racist world.
Yeah.
You know, so people ask me, how do you and everything? I'm like, we kind of already conditioned,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know, to live. And when I saw the George Floyd video, it took me a minute to watch it because I had told myself I wasn't gonna watch after the Philando Castillo video. And I woke up to it too. Like I wasn't like searching. It was like hit my timeline. I was like,
Right.
I wasn't trying to see that.
Right.
You know, I kind of was like, I don't want to watch them no more. You know, but I had to watch that one. Um, and all I saw was people that I've lost before.
Yeah.
Seeing them, it made
Yeah.
me call my mom
Hmm. Yeah.
immediately.
Right.
Uh, but I think it's something to say too when we say we're conditioned to move on.
Yeah.
You know,
Wow.
not to answer your question, but
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, it is a lot, but like you said, we unfortunately have been conditioned, and you and I are, we're younger people, and still, as far back as you can stretch, and we're still going through this. But just have to have hope that I think about my son, and I don't want him to have to be conditioned like that. So, you just hope that some real change can at some point finally come from a lot of this stuff. But I want to go back to when you were kind of talking about those days when, you basically lost everything, you were stripped of everything, and you only had God to turn to. And so what were, in addition to your faith and the praying, what were some other things, like actionable changes that you made in your life to continue pressing forward?
it's gonna sound cliche, but I just started getting closer with God.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I finally just started really, really seeking God and really started listening um, to, to His voice and not my voice.
Yeah.
You know, and the deeper you put yourself, the hole you put yourself in, the harder it is to climb out. I always
Absolutely.
imagine like a sand pail or a bucket or whatever, and that being like the bottom of that bucket is like rock bottom, but the
Mm-hmm.
bottom is ripped. So I was below the bottom,
Right.
deeper. And so I had to climb myself out of the deeper hole just to get to rock bottom.
Mm.
Then to pull myself out of the bucket to just to crawl.
Yeah.
And I feel like when you're in a season like that in the wilderness, the only thing that can really pull you out is God.
Absolutely. So in the future, I'll ask you this on the director slash filmmaker side and on the musical side. So musically, who are some people you would like to work with?
Oh man, I want to work with John Legend. I want to
Mm.
work with Common. I would love to work with Elton John. Um,
Awesome.
I would love to work with Bone Thugs and Harmony, but they got to keep it Crossroads for me.
Right.
I'd love to work with Timbaland,
Mm.
um, Kanye. You know,
Yeah.
I would love actually to do. I have a song on the album with Twista and the Brat.
Yes.
I'd love to do another Chicago theme song with all of us on one song. I mean, I got a song with Jonathan and Reynolds, but I'd love to get Jonathan, Common, Ye, Chance, Bone,
Hmm.
Slick, Brad. Like, I would love to just make a song for the city. But yeah, I could go on and on who I want to work with musically.
Right, right. Now on the director filmmaker side, who would you like to work with?
I'd love to work with. Honestly, I'd love to work with Denzel.
Yes.
Um, I'd love to produce something for Spike Lee.
Mm.
I would really like to. Well, I'm gonna put this into existence. I would really like to work with Mekhi Phifer, Woody McClain, Michael T. Williamson, and Nafisa Williams on the movie that we're working on right now.
Oh,
So I'll put that into existence.
very
Uh,
nice.
and Dave Chappelle, I would love to put Dave in another movie.
Mm-hmm.
Um, where he can be. I can't think of the name of the movie right now, but Lady Gaga and Bradley Cooper. Can't think of the movie. Came out.
Yeah, I can't think of that either.
He was in that movie.
Okay.
Love seeing him in that movie. So
Yeah.
I like taking actors or comedians or whatever they are,
Mm-hmm.
and put them in a space you wouldn't normally see them in.
Right.
You know,
Well,
huh?
well, I was gonna say, as a director, what is that like? Working. So, you probably, I'm sure you've worked with actors who have been acting long before you even thought about maybe picking up a camera. So how is that, having to direct, people and pull a certain type of performance out of them? How is that?
Bill Duke was the first actor like that I worked with. Although I also got to give some praise to shout out to Wayne Brady because he was actually the
Mhm.
first actor I worked with in Hollywood.
Okay.
Director. So I would say between those two, I remember calling Bill and Mr. Duke and telling him, "How do I direct you?"
Right.
Being real, I took a class in college on your project. If you don't know who Bill Duke is,
Yes.
he's an amazing actor and an amazing director.
Mhm.
And he said, "At my age, I still step on set and still can learn from you because only you know how to tell your story. So as
Mhm.
long as you know how to tell your story,
Yeah.
you'll be good."
Yeah.
So confidence. I remember just being a fly on the wall and working with Wayne, and he had this show in Vegas called Making Stuff Up,
Yeah.
and that's literally what the show was. And they would be in the dressing room, and they would put all these cards on the table, and they said, "Let's do some lines," right? Obviously, they were doing lines, but like, let's do some lines.
Right.
They would just pick them up and it'd be like, rabbit, giraffe, cigarette, tell a story, and they would just go
Yeah.
these stories and go and go and go. And so I learned about thinking on your feet and being spontaneous and being in the room and something changes and you got to go with it.
Right. Right.
And so, and every movie gets even better. Canal Street, Michael T. Williamson taught me about the script is the star. Nobody's more important than the script.
Right.
I know what I did. I know you've seen when I walk in, Forrest Gump and Fences and all that heat.
Right.
That's not here. I'm here to play Jackie Stiles. So help me be Jackie Stiles because
That's
you
awesome.
know this character more than me. And so you always have, man, I still get those flutters.
Right.
Still
Right.
get them. And I know I don't want to take too much of time, but I remember the first day at Canal Street,
Mm-hmm.
and I remember it vividly. We shot that movie in 16 and a half days, right?
Wow.
And on day one, it was pouring rain,
Mm-hmm.
and we didn't have any sets. We were shooting all real locations.
Okay.
We had like 4 company moves, and we were headed to our last scene of the day,
Mm-hmm.
right? And we have to get there by a certain time, and we get stuck in a funeral procession for a police officer. It's like cars upon cars.
Right.
We're already losing 45 minutes. We get there, and the scene had Michael T. Williamson, Jamie Hector, um, Yancey was in that scene, some other actors, and I remember Acclaim Crawford, and I remember walking over and sitting in a circle, and first of all, first time I've seen them like in their characters,
Uh-huh.
they're all like 6'4". They're tall guys. I'm
Uh-huh.
6'2", right? And so
Okay.
I'm sitting in the center, and I'm like, Lord, 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 what have I got myself into? That was 10 seconds though.
Right.
And I remember Clay was like, so what are we doing? What are we doing? What are we doing? He's ready. He's ready to play his character. And Jamie's sitting there. He's got his do-rag on. He's lit. He's waiting for me to give assignments. And Michael T's sitting there. And 10 seconds in, I had to jump in. Spontaneity. And I had to, all right, this is what we're going to do. We're going to go here. And they just clicked. And 16 and a half days later, I'm sitting in the hotel like, I can't even believe we just did that.
Right. Right.
People. You know, I can't believe Makai's coming tomorrow. I've been watching Makai since I was a kid.
Right.
You know?
Soul food, you know?
Yeah, I'm just like, I'm still a fan, you know?
Right.
I want to be a fan of people's work.
Right.
So, you know, and I just remember sitting with these people, and when you first meet them,
Mm-hmm.
studying you, is this kid, is he confident enough to lead this? Because it's
Right.
72 actors on Canal Street.
Wow.
72 different people that I have to speak to and give an
Right.
overview. And so it was a little tough
Mm-hmm.
first day.
Yeah.
Then you just get into your groove.
Right.
It's gonna be scary, and then it's not.
Yeah. I love that. It's gonna be scary, and then it's not. And I also love too, as you're talking about these people, you know, legends in their own right, and how humble they are. So there's a lot to say about being able to humble yourself.
Yeah, I mean, I love meeting people. You know, I'll talk about Makai, T, and Jamie just because those brothers are so humble.
Yeah.
And I've met people who are arrogant, right? But then you meet people like them and like people like Will Smith, like I've had the pleasure to meet, and like, it's like
Wow.
they're acting like this. So y'all ain't got no reason to be acting like that at all.
Right. Right.
Oh, and it reminds me of like there's always somebody that you can learn from.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And that's what I loved even hearing you say that about Bill Duke, because like you said, this man is a living legend, and he still has the mindset that I can come and I can still learn something. And that's a lesson that I think all of us can take. No matter how well versed you feel like you are in something, you can always learn. So that's awesome. So what are some things you envision for yourself in the future, in terms of filmmaking and in terms of music?
Well, in terms of music, we're gonna keep being led by God. We have some amazing projects that we're working on right now with a couple artists, about Bree Smiles, Casey Wavy, Jack Red, and Maji, are all working on projects right now. We want to just keep being a bridge to unite the kingdom.
Yes.
However God sees that,
Yeah.
you know. That's what we want to continue to do with music: educate, inspire, and wake up, and bring people closer to their faith while it's still time on the clock. And then we want to do the same thing on the film side.
Yeah.
Finding real stories to tell. That's the name of our writing company, Real Stories. You know, the next project we're working on is a Sean Bell story. And that project is, man, it's a great story wrapped up in a tragedy.
Wow. Okay. I follow his wife on social media, and I remember the case very well. So that'll be awesome to see come to life. Oh, wow.
And we're telling the Gray story. And when I say Gray,
Mm-hmm.
to unload your firearms 50 times into a car, I have to know what you're thinking.
Yeah.
And it's not always so black and white.
Right. I agree.
You know, you have to understand what was being taught
Yeah.
at that time. Excessive force was being taught,
Yeah.
not passive force.
Right.
You know, you were being taught to not mobilize. You were being trained to kill
Yeah.
the biggest mass on the bodies. You
Yeah.
know, so there's no excuse for excessive force in murdering somebody.
Yeah.
None. That's something that you got to take up with God. But we are here to tell the right story the right way,
Yeah.
so that we can in fact change the narrative.
Yes.
We can't change the narrative by just angering people. You also have to educate them.
Yes. I love that you have that standpoint of education because it is so very important. And I feel like a lot of the reasons why we're going through a lot of stuff we're even going through now, just people don't have that education.
Right.
So that's awesome. Well, before we get out, I would like to ask you a kind of a fun question. What would be something that people would find surprising about you?
Now, my favorite movie right now is When Harry Met Sally.
Really now? And why is that?
The older I get, the better it gets.
Gotcha.
You know, it just there was something about movies at that time.
Hmm.
I always make this joke that like Love Jones is When Harry Met Sally, but it's just a black version.
Gotcha. And I can see that.
It's an amazing. Most of those stories are amazing. Um, and that I don't know, just call it whatever it is. You know that right now people are like, what?
Right.
Rob Reiner, man, I don't know, whatever.
Right.
Billy Crystal, but and then Higher Learning changed my life. You know,
Hmm.
uh, then Magnolia. If you've seen Magnolia, it's P.T. Anderson, but like those three movies,
Yeah.
two of those three movies, you would probably be surprised about. But yeah, sure.
That's cool. That's super dope. Well, as you are coming up with, great things, because it sounds like you have a lot on the iron right now. How can fans keep in contact with you and follow what it is you're doing?
You can find me on Instagram and Facebook at Rhyan Lamarr. That's RHYANLAMARR. You can find me on Twitter at Lamarr Ryan. I got this all memorized now. If you're interested and you hadn't heard of Perfect Mess yet, you can stream it. And as I said, if you like it, amazing. If you love it, download it. If you want to be uplifted, inspired, and motivated, the first thing that you should do is open up your Bible. Second thing you should do is download The Perfect Mess.
Awesome. I was actually going to ask you in parting if there was a single piece of advice you'd give that aspiring musician or that aspiring filmmaker or whatever. And so there we have it.
Yeah, keep your head up. I know is just another yes across the corner. Don't be afraid to hear the word no.
That's right.
I heard the word no 3 times this morning. I was like, dang, I ain't even got in the shower yet. No. It's be accustomed with hearing that word. Don't be accustomed with being. I'm not saying be a failure,
Right.
but everybody don't like or understand your vision. And just because they say no doesn't mean that they don't get it. It just might not be the right fit where they are,
Right.
or they might not have the means to put it out, or they might not have the bandwidth or the brain power to make it make sense to them.
Right.
Don't let it discourage you.
Yeah. That's really important because, like you said, I think a lot of times when we hear no, we feel like it's a non-validation of our work, and when, like you said, and maybe it's just where that particular person, is in life, and not necessarily us and our worth and what it is we're bringing to the table. So
Yeah,
that's phenomenal. Well, Mr. Lamarr, I thank you very, very much for your time. We're very appreciative that you sat down with AJ3 Report today to talk to us, and we wish you nothing but the blessings of God, choice blessings of God going forward.
Amen.
Thank you. Have a great one. I'm sorry?
Say be safe out there.
Thank you very much. Will do. Same to you. Take care.